I just went from one subscriber in December to 10 here at the end of January. So at this rate, going up by 10, multiplied by 10 per 2 months, that means in 2 years I will have a trillion subscribers and be the wealthiest man on the planet. So obviously, this channel is a great success. I love that I actually have 10 subscribers, considering how really bad I am at this. Uh, yeah, I just want to thank everybody for who did subscribe, that they did for me. So maybe I won't go up by multiples of 10. Maybe I'll go up 10 per year, and in 30 or 40 years, I'll be able to make $5 or $6 a month at this. It's just I really do. I appreciate that there's anybody paying any attention to this, since there's so much else to view on YouTube and so much else to view on television and in movies and and people who are into this obviously are into gaming. So it would be remiss if I didn't point out that there's a lot of really good gaming stuff to do. I don't even. There was a time in the late '90s, early 2000s where, even in the mid '90s to mid 2000s, where I knew, say, 80% of the gaming stuff that came out, no matter what system it was for, I was up on it. But ever since basically third edition, I began to wane my interest in third edition. I began to wane my interest in most role playing games, other than stuff I already knew. And I don't know very much about the newer stuff coming out over these last few decades. Now, I was going to say years, but now it's decades. I honestly can't get too interested in it, but I have been paying attention to some of the newer OSR stuff. And by newer, I mean stuff that's newer to me. It's stuff that's, some of it's 5 years old, 6 years old, 10 years old. But I have paid a little bit of attention to the new OSR stuff, and I plan to talk about that. Also, want to talk about get back talking about Shadow World. I really want to push Shadow World down everybody's throat. I just want to talk about what's going on with where Shadow World is, especially since the death of its creator back in, I don't know, somewhere around 2020, 2021. Kevin Amthor. Kevin Amthor was who did a really great job on that setting. Also, want to not forget that Pete Finland, who was the owner of ICE, is part of the who was the former owner of ICE, was a big part of the creation of the setting. He had a big part of the mood of it by basically introducing the Unlife, which is one of the most interesting versions of pure evil I've ever seen. It is what I like about it. It is every bit as repellent as as chaos in Warhammer 40K, but its methods are not as cartoonishly evil. It's got its own kind of grim and majestic darkness to it, and I like that. I like the chain. I like that. Also want to do. Also, I'm planning on doing. I keep intending to do it every few days, but I'm procrastinating badly. Just go through a read through in that old issue, that old campaign notes. Just go and look through, because I actually did look through some of that a while back, and was like, it's actually kind of interesting to see how I did it, because I don't really think too many people come on here and just read their campaign notes and get a sense, especially for newer game masters, how much effort some people put into it. People who really enjoy the hell out of this game and really want to put maximum effort into it. How much effort they put in, and even show. I wish I had. The problem is I wish I was more visually interesting. I don't draw pictures. I have no artistic ability, and worse, many of my maps that I drew, which might be visually interesting, even if they're crappy, uh, I don't have anymore, or because I reuse them, put them in another module, to another adventure, then put them in the back of that 3-ring binder, and then I put it into another, and then it just somehow it disappeared somehow they disappear over time because my poor organizational skills, and but I would really like to see if anybody's interested in that. Also thinking about further, of course, further information on AD&D and where I'm going with a homebrew style campaign. But I will be running my own campaign. I'll either be going back to running my Shadow World campaign here in a few weeks, or I will be or I will be starting over with an old school game, doing a mega dungeon campaign. I really want to do that. I've never really run a mega dungeon. I've really always liked it, and I think I have a pretty good selection of mega dungeons to choose from now. There's been so many put out over the last few years, and they so many are really good. I mean, I don't have time to do my own, which is the only thing that I would really prefer. Of course, doing my own mega dungeon, but I've intended to do mega dungeons for myself for decades now, and I've never gotten around to doing it. So I might as well figure out that running a published one, especially since there are a couple published ones that are really good. I genuinely can't imagine doing a better job on those. I Up until very recently, I never ran modules, and that's the reason why I was thinking about also just rating adventures that I really liked and actually ran, and then ones I really hated and would never run. But the ones I hated would be a lot easier for me to do because I could almost grab any issue of Dungeon Magazine and just pick the first adventure and just explain why I hate it. Because almost every adventure I've ever read was awful. They really the whole tendency towards massive railroading in published adventures is very irksome. I don't also like reading a huge amount of background for one adventure, especially for some short adventure. I don't know how many times. Well, I'm going to start to rant on this now when I don't really plan on it, but what the hell? Yeah, the really huge long background for a module that's only meant to be run in, say, 2 or 3 sessions at most. Sometimes even just it's a 4-hour adventure, which for me is a half or less of a full session. Yeah, I just don't understand. There's a lot of reading to get through to get to the point. I find Bryce Lynch's assessment of a lot of modules to be pretty accurate, even though Bryce Lynch is probably I probably disagree with him a lot too, but he is right about these overly wordy adventures that have no idea why they're going off. So I might do that. I might put up, because also saying negative things tends to get a little more traction on YouTube. People like hearing opinions that are negative, and then because they like agreeing with them, and they love disagreeing with them. People love to just tell you that you're a moron for like you're a moron for not liking, I don't know, the Dragonlance modules. I would never run those. The effort put into running them to try and keeping them non-railroady would be too much for me. It'd be a waste of time. Also, don't think Dragonlance is a good setting. I think this is dumb. Always thought it was it was a dumber version of Greyhawk and a dumber version of Lord of the Rings combined. It's just awful. Also could tear into to every Tracy Hickman adventure, including Ravenloft and Pharaoh, but those are actually pretty good modules. Ravenloft is genuinely a pretty solid module. The problem is it is the beginning of the railroading and novelization. Because it's only the beginning, though, it's not actually all that railroady. And Pharaoh is actually a pretty solid dungeon delve with some pretty good. I actually one of the very few modules I actually ran, and ran it when I was, I don't know, 14 years old. No, I was younger than that. It was like 12. I think I ran it when I was 12. Had a guy create a character and ran him solo through it. I think I ran the entire adventure for him. I thought there would be a part of it that would be confusing, but the guy named Nathan, that was the name of the player, who'd never played D&D before. He'd heard of it, but he'd never played. He came up with some really interesting things to do. And that was the first time I really enjoyed. One of the first times I really enjoyed game mastering, because it was the one thing that I always love out of players, which is that the players will surprise me and make me I love underestimating my players. I love thinking, well, they're never going to figure that out, and then they get it right away. I love that. I love it when they surprise me, both positively and negatively. It's always interesting to see what they do, and that's why I want to talk about this, because I would love to. I think a lot of game masters can be led the wrong direction, thinking that they're the center of the campaign, but their players are. But also to help players work better at being better players too, as well as DMs. But I don't know. It's just a bit of a rant, not a rant. I don't know. I don't think this is a rant, but this is a bit of me just filibustering a bit, because I got 10 subscribers after a couple months of trying to do this. And like I said, if at this rate, multiplying 10 every 2 months, I will be bigger than any other YouTuber. I will then definitely be the biggest YouTuber on the planet. Of course, it will mean that I'll have to have subscribers from other worlds. Maybe AI will be advanced enough in 2 years that I can have a trillion AI subscribers, and and that would be wonderful. I would very much like to have a bunch of AI subscribers. That would make me feel really important if I had a trillion AI, because that's because AI is because AI subscribers would be so important to me. It would be such a great thing to have. It would fill me with inertia. And so, but anyway, thanks for 10 subscribers to the 10 subscribers I have, and that's it for today.